Life Center. I'm in my second year right now, so the first year was quite eventful with the resignation of the previous executive director. So we had a very busy year last year with hiring a new executive director. Well, I worked in a children's mental health center that was located on Shepherd Avenue, and Keele, Shepherd and Keele. So I had known about the Mennonite New Life Center from their location on Wilson, because we had many Spanish-speaking participants in our programs, and so they used the service. We all actually even made referrals to Mennonite Life Center at that point. And then I worked very closely with Miriam Reeser, who was the previous chair of the committee, and I knew that she was very involved with Mennonite New Life Center too. So it was actually Miriam who got me involved on the board, and then I eventually became the chair when she left the board. There's always a challenge with looking for funding, and that's always a challenge, especially in our current environment, that it always becomes a challenge to find funding for programs. Although you would think that now, with the influx of newcomers coming to Canada, that really all of the funders should really have their pockets open and ready to fund many new programs, because the needs are great now, and they're going to be just increasing in the future, especially in Ontario, where there are so many people who tend to come to start a new life in this province. So it's important to always be adapting and creating new programs and increasing the size of the programs in order to meet the increasing needs of the community. It's always hard to know a particular moment, but I would just say it was always very exciting when we heard about new programs that did receive funding, and they always were very creative and very innovative programs, and that always made me very excited about what was happening within the center. I've always been very, just so pleased to see all the innovation that's been done at the Mennonite New Life Center. And seeing as I worked in a children's mental health center, I knew that providing mental health supports were just so important. And I know that even though I haven't been in the field for quite a long time, from reading the paper, the needs for mental health supports are just increasing so much in our world, and that the services are so limited, and there are not really sufficient services for everybody who needs them, especially newcomers who speak a variety of different languages, and we might not have people who can speak those languages in order to support their needs that they have. Everybody needs mental health support, but I can only imagine the challenges that newcomers must experience when they come to a new country. It's the language they have to overcome. There's so many different systems that we have in place that they're not familiar with. And also, I can't imagine leaving my family and everything I felt comfortable with and I lived with for so many years, and come to a new country. And I know from working with people who were newcomers to Canada, the heartbreak that they felt when their families from their country of origin were sick, or and they couldn't necessarily visit with them and see how they were doing and help them out because they didn't have the money to be able to do that. And it was heartbreaking for me just to see how upset they were about those kinds of situations. So mental health support is necessary, and especially we provided a service for new moms with young children, and there is no book that helps new moms know how to be a good new mom, and they need a lot of support, and sometimes it's a quite a challenging time as well. So newcomers need mental health support, and especially, but everybody needs it, yeah. I know when I was working, I was always so impressed with people who were volunteering, because we used a lot of volunteers to provide our services as well. And so when I was no longer working, I felt I wanted to volunteer more of my time, because it's very gratifying to see that you can help people, and it just makes you feel good inside. It warms your heart that you're doing it for other people, and not necessarily for the monetary value, but just to make you feel like you're really contributing to society. And I think that's a very important feeling to have. I would say that from what I understand, from when the center started initially, it has expanded greatly, and it has a lot more programs that they're providing, and greater staff as well. And so I would hope that the center would continue to evolve and innovate in creating new programs and larger programs with substantial funding, so that they can just help more and more people that are in need and need their support in the future. That's a hard one for me to answer, because I've lived here all my life, right? But I would say just getting to know other people, and I think the language is a big barrier, and understanding systems, which is why I think it's so important to have the settlement services that Mennonite New Life Center has, because they can help people to understand how things work in Toronto, in Ontario, because it's such a different, so many different services and different ways of accessing them than they would have in their country of origin. So I think the settlement services are very important, and of course learning the language is sort of a big way of learning about how people think by thinking about their languages. I think the most important thing is that people are open to newcomers, right? There are certain people in our country, and unfortunately, that feel threatened by having newcomers come to the country. Whereas I think it's an incredible experience, because I think there's so much to learn from other people who have different backgrounds and different cultural backgrounds and different countries that they're coming from. There's so much potential for us to learn about them and their life and the way they do things. So, I think that newcomers really enrich our world. I would wish the clients feel at home in this country, and that they, over the years, hopefully will love it as much as they love their country of origin, where they were born and lived, and see the potential of their children growing in Canada, and that they feel good about the new life that they're providing themselves and their children in this country.